Good evening, everybody. Welcome to North Penn High School. My name is Matthew Klink, and I'm the choral director here, and it is my honor to welcome you here this evening for our annual spring concert. We have behind me about 260 students who have been working their tails off for really the entire year, but especially the last few months on this music that you're going to hear tonight. And if there's kind of a common theme amongst our music tonight, it's this idea that's so obvious, but I think we overlook it sometimes. And it's that idea that life gives us many reasons to celebrate. And one of the most natural ways that we as humans celebrate is through music. And it can take many different forms, as you're about to hear. That very first piece that you heard is called Dubala. It comes from South Africa. And it is meant to be just a joyous celebration of life. We're welcoming you to a party through that song. And we're going to change gears completely right now, because we're going to play for you a selection from Mozart's Requiem, which you probably know at least some of the story. Mozart never finished his Requiem. He was working on it up till when he died. And the passage we're going to perform for you is one where we can see that through a requiem, which is the celebration or the remembrance of someone who has died, we remember how important it is for us to celebrate life who are here. So we're going to be joined by some incredibly talented musicians here playing Mozart's Requiem. This is the Rex Tremende movement from the sequence. Are we pretty good? Excellent. So we're about to shift gears entirely again back to some more modern day music. Although this next selection certainly is one that's not going to be familiar to many of you. This next piece of music comes from Aruba, that tiny island, and they're one of just a couple of places in the world that speak a language there called papiamento. You may know this. It's a kind of a mixture of Spanish and French and Portuguese and some English, and that's their language, and that's what we're going to be singing in. These people sing this song to celebrate a successful harvest. The fact that they've been able to bring in enough food through their growing season that they know that they can survive through another year. And it just as a way of kind of giving thanks for all of their hard work, for their good fortune, they sing this song, which is called Balia de Cebu. And on this, we're going to feature a couple of percussionists, Jeff Wang, Joe Logan, and Evan Garbaccio. And we hope you enjoy Balia de Cebu. So if you looked at a program, you may have noticed one of the other commonalities of this first part is that none of these pieces are in English. And that was sort of intentional, as I was figuring out sort of what the best music for us and to challenge ourselves for the year would be. I try to keep myself at least to the philosophy that the only real music that we have to worry about in this world is good music. We spend too much time thinking about types of music and when it's from and the genre. And instead, just again, music can be such a celebration. You're going to hear that in particular in this next song, because Nyan Nyan is not in any language. It's just a whole lot of nonsense syllables, but ones that sound pretty cool. Jake Grunnestedt is the composer of this piece, and he intentionally wanted to try to emulate a lot of sounds that you might hear, especially from guitar players in this next piece. So this is Nyan Nyan. Are we good? Percussion's back. One of the cool things we do have is a ton of talented instrumentalists in this choir, and I need to give them time to get on and off stage. So we're going to conclude this first part of the program with Nyan Nyan. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're at our first transition point of the evening, which takes a moment here because, well, we have a lot of singers, which is an awesome thing. You're going to hear next from our men's choir. As they are getting in place, I do want to take a moment to make sure that I give a particular acknowledgement to the gentleman who's going to conduct this next piece. Your students probably have told you, if they're coming home, that they got to have a student teacher this year with maybe they had this part in there, a whole lot of consonants in his name. If you look at the front cover, I think you know what I mean. But if you've heard the word trichecki, tricheck, what else? Trichex mix, yes. Yeah, try check yourself before you wreck yourself. Yeah, they've all been there. They're referring to this gentleman. This is Michael Tricecki, who graduated from Westchester in December. He was my student teacher in the fall, and was gracious enough to stay on board for the remainder of the year, being my assistant director, helping in particular with our after-school groups, men's choir, women's choir, chamber singers, but also has certainly been subbing for me quite a bit. Michael is an absolutely remarkably talented musician, and the shame of it is at some point someone's going to give him a good job, and we may not be able to have him here anymore, but it's been an awesome couple of months, so thank you for everything you've done. So the men's choir is going to perform two pieces, and Mr. Tricecki is going to conduct them both. The first is a setting of the very famous poem, "Oh My Love's Like a Red, Red Rose." The second is a spiritual music in the air. So the next group you'll hear from are the North Penn High School Chamber Singers, and I've had the really good fortune the last few years to, at this concert, kind of fill you in, if you didn't know already, of some really great accomplishment that this group had achieved during the year. I'm starting to run out of things for them to do, and what I mean by that is, as I know many of you are certainly aware, this group performed just a few short months ago in Kansas City, Missouri at the American Choral Directors Association National Conference. And if that doesn't make sense to you, essentially I can tell you it's about the highest honor that a choir in the United States can achieve, to be selected to perform there. It was an absolutely magnificent time that we had. We spent 4 days in Kansas City, and not only did we get to hear a lot of great music and perform in some pretty amazing concert halls, we got to meet a lot of the composers, actually, of the music, because it's such a huge event, everyone in the choral world attends. It was inspiring, it was humbling, and one of the things that I want to make sure I say tonight is a big thank you to all the students from the last couple of years who were in Chamber Singers who graduated, because in order to be selected, I had to send in 3 years worth of recordings of the Chamber Singers. So alumni, thank you very much. This first piece we're going to perform for you is simply titled Alleluia. It's by a composer named João Berger, and he wrote a Brazilian psalm in the style of some sambas and other music you might hear in Brazil. And this features all the different sections in one way or another. This next piece of music is one that means a whole lot to me because one of the things you learn pretty quickly is the music world can be very small as you start meeting more and more people. I've already introduced you to Mr. Trajcicki. Mr. Trajcicki went to high school at Wissahickon, which is where I did my student teaching with the composer of this next piece, whose name is John Conahan. And John wrote this piece, which is one I believe you said is sung at commencement each year at Wissahickon. So it's a special piece for them, and it was a great joy to bring it here and for Mr. Trajcicki to be the one to teach it and to conduct it here. So Benediction by John Conahan. Before we sing our final selection, chamber singers, I want to take a moment. If you have a program, I would ask you to take a look in the middle pages. You'll see a section that says 2019 PMEA Honor Choirs. We had a number of students who individually this year auditioned for PMEA, which is the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association, District Chorus, which is open to all high school students in Bucks and Montgomery County. And we had quite a number of students who were chosen. So I'm going to ask you to hold your applause till the end of this. Just raise your hand if I call your name. So this year for District Chorus, Paul Clemmer, Kia Larkins, Aaron Menzo, James Murphy, and Joe Pop. And then we had students who were chosen for districts, and while they were there, successfully auditioned to move on to Region Chorus, which is kind of the best of all the high schools in the 5-county Philadelphia area. And there we had Will Clark, Philip Crush, Madison Eppers, Chris Lee, Jay Patel, Evan Pelletier, Samantha Steck, Ben Varghese. So congratulations to those guys. And then at Regions, the students get an opportunity to audition for this year's all-state course, and we had 2 students selected, Madeline Burke and Kavya Desai. Congratulations to all of you. In addition, we had a couple students selected for things based on how well they had done in this system last year. If you audition and make all states, you are then eligible to audition the following year for either all Easterns or all Nationals. And so we had Jay Patel. Jay, where'd you go? There's Jay. Jay was selected to all Eastern Chorus. Congratulations. And Lindsay Spritzler, where are you? Congratulations. And additionally, Lindsay, as you can again see in your program, was chosen for this year's all-national chorus and got to go to Orlando earlier this year. What a great experience. Congrats, Lindsay. And we're going to conclude with a spiritual, one of the sort of greatest known, I would say at this point, by Moses Hogan, his setting of Elijah Rock. So we're going to let our women's choir take the stage for the next two selections. And our women's choir has done just a phenomenal job this year. They've sang some really, really tough music, and you're going to hear a couple of those selections tonight. We had a lot of really great memories, right? Like that field trip to Burger King when our bus broke down. That one was pretty good, yeah. On our way to Penn State, unfortunately, we never made it back in January. On this piece, you're going to hear at the very beginning, this is, by the way, an American folk song called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And you're going to hear a solo and a trio at the very beginning. And I want to take a moment to just acknowledge these students that you'll hear. First, you will hear Madeline Burke. Raise your hand. And Madeline this year was my gifted mentorship student, and that meant she was kind of learning what it would be like to be a music teacher, and she split her time between North Penn High School Chorus and Knapp Elementary School, and has been a huge help. So thank you for everything you have done for me, for this program this year, Madeline. And singing with her, you see Samantha Steck there. Raise your hand, Sammy. And Sammy I've reminded her a couple of times that it's very surreal for me that you're going to graduate this year, because I met you way back when we did Sound of Music, and you were here as the littlest Von Trapp. And it makes me kind of realize just how long I've been here, so that's really cool. Madison Eppers, thank you so much for suggesting this piece of music. It was completely her idea. I listened to it. I said, I am sold. This is fantastic. So I'm happy that three of our seniors can be featured on this piece, Will the Circle Be Unbroken?
Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting if we try, Lord, if we try. I was singing with my sisters. I was singing with my friends. And we all can sing together, 'cause the circle never ends. Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home
Lindsay Spritzler on that soprano solo. And of course, the lovely Mrs. Jennifer Klink on piano. All right, chorus, I'll meet you back up on stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the choir is taking its place, this is a good time to make sure that I want to make sure that I acknowledge everyone who helps to make a night like tonight possible, because it doesn't just happen in a day of planning, a week of planning, a month of planning. It takes a very, very long time and a lot of hard work from these young men and women, but a lot more going on behind the scenes. So if you do look at your program, on the back cover, you'll see a whole lot of thank yous. Certainly our administration, both in the district and in the building. Mr. Nicholson, thank you for everything you do in supporting us. I also want to make sure that I give a particular thanks to the district as a whole for continuing to support music, and they have evidenced that in a very real way. I don't know if you can tell, but we are sporting a shiny new piano up here on stage as of just about a week ago. But it's something that I mentioned simply because it's indicative of how lucky I certainly feel that North Penn supports music, supports the arts as a whole, and is willing to invest time, money, resources into making sure that that our students are being enriched, being fulfilled as they come and travel through this building. I want to say in particular special thank you to Mr. Wireman. Craig is back there running lights and sound, so thank you for your help. Thank you, Mary Fakish, Bob Gilmer, for helping tonight with TV coverage. Mr. Gilmer put our slideshow together. You'll be seeing very shortly. To my music colleagues, tonight is a very, very special night. I told the students earlier because I believe Mr. Heller is here, and that's a big deal for us. So thank you, Mr. Heller, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement. And then just one last thing. I'm sure you obviously would have seen coming in, but we are in the second night of our art show right now, open to the public. As you exit tonight, please make sure that you go check out the many, many, many works that showcase our students' talents in other ways than you'll see tonight. How many of you have something at the art show? That's awesome. Congratulations. It's really cool. We're going to begin our last set of music here with a setting of 3 short Shakespeare songs that come from plays of his, and this is simply just titled 3 Madrigals. You'll notice they're all very short and there's pauses between. Please hold your applause till the end of the third one. They're kind of one complete work. And Mr. Tricek, he's going to be back out to conduct this one.
Hi, everyone. So before we continue on to our next song, I'd just like to say a few words about Mr. Clank. It's been so much fun being his mentorship student this year. I've learned a lot. He's a great guy. If you look in your programs, our next song is called Choose Something Like a Star. I won't spoil all the setup for him because I'm sure he's going to want to talk about it. But here, I'm going to walk around this. Our gift for him is kind of centered around that song this year. So basically the meaning of the song is if a star is something constant that you can look at, and if you're in a time of trouble, and I know for a lot of us, for me in particular, music has been a source of comfort and of calm and of stability when everything else is crazy, and Mr. Clank has helped provide that. So in honor of that, here's our silly gift if you'd like to open it. It's a lightsaber conductor's baton. Star Wars, you know? We thought it would be fun. And then a bit more seriously, we named a star after Mr. Clank. Here, let me get this beautiful certificate out. Oh, heavens. This is falling. Yes, so it's named Matthew Clank. It's in the constellation Lyra, which is the most musical constellation. Yeah, very fun. And so my dear friend Maddie Eppers, who's one of our officers, said, when we were trying to think of a gift for you, we chose something like a star. So Mr. Clank, thank you for being our star in more ways than one, for being a constant source of support and of music and of love. We all appreciate it, me especially. So thank you.
Sorry about that. Need a place to put that. There's no batteries in it yet. They want me to use the baton. There's no batteries in it yet. I actually won't really say a whole lot about this next piece. I rarely do this, but in your program, usually I'll try to translate the things that are not in English to help you in listening. I actually put the entire text of this poem because it's really profound, and I've been trying to explain to the students that I sang this song in high school, and at the time I knew that it was special. I didn't know why. I wasn't mature enough to get there yet, and just as years went on, and I would hear it again and read it again, it started to really sink in for me what you heard Maddie say, which is that All of us are going to go through times where we feel like the world is getting away from us, that we're sort of losing control, and it's in those moments that we need to know that there's something that we can rely on to always be there, like a star that you'll hear in this next piece. So these are the words of Robert Frost, the music of Randall Thompson. One of my personal favorite pieces, Choose Something Like a Star. So up here behind me, we have 83 young men and women who are going to graduate in just a couple of weeks here. Seniors, before the screen totally blocks you out, raise your hands. Seniors. So they are certainly set to begin a new chapter in their lives, but before they do, as I kind of do every year, I want to take a moment just to talk to them, so if you don't mind. Seniors, hi, how we doing? Great concert so far? So seniors, here you are. This is surreal to me, but it may be the very last time that I get to talk to you all as a group. So before our time together ends, I would like to take a moment just to share a few thoughts that I have that came to mind as I was thinking about the class of 2019. I always ask this, do you remember your first piece that you sang? You were on top of that, okay. Sophomore year for you all, winter concert, El Cielo Canta Alegría, the heavens are singing for joy, right? And between that time and now, I've had the absolute privilege of making some tremendous music with all of you, and I hope that you all realize just how special that is. There are so many things in this world that really serve to divide us, but I get to witness every single day how when 2 or 3 or 260 people get together and join to make music, all those things just seem to go away, which is a pretty incredible thing. So whether I've been your teacher for 3 years or 2 or only just for this one, I hope that you have found F51 to be a place that you can go and set aside the things that are causing you stress and anxiety, where you can set aside your anger and your frustration and find joy in doing one of the most basic human things that there is to do, which is making music. So class of 2019, I do want to tell you, I think a lot of you are aware, but in case you're not, I'm celebrating a little bit with you this year. The end of this school year is a little bit of a milestone for me because it marks the completion of 10 years teaching here at North Penn High School. You don't have to applaud that, but thank you. But I got to tell you, as a result of that, you are the first class that's really started to make me feel old, right? What I mean, though, by that is that when I started here a decade ago as a new teacher, in my 20s, I felt like I was still, kind of part of that generation of students that were here at the time. And but now in 2019, it's, the realization hits me that all of you are much closer in age to my son Christopher than you are to me, which just means that I've moved on to a different part of my own life. But I do want to thank you all because seriously, working with all of you every day, and seniors in particular, it really, really keeps me young at heart, or at least I keep telling myself that. But seriously, I love getting to do what we do. Your energy gives me energy, and for that I thank you. Class of 2019, you have so much to be proud of. You've provided memories for me that I will always keep, and I hope that the same goes for you. There's going to be times in this world when you're going to feel overwhelmed and it feels like things are getting away from you, and maybe that you don't understand what your purpose or your place is. But it's in those moments that I do hope you remember our time together in North Penn High School chorus, not because I want you to remember rhythms or harmonies, but so that you can think of things like that wonderful poem that you just sang, and the way that that makes you feel. Just like that poem, seniors, I'm going to ask a little bit of you here, okay? I'm going to ask that you resist the urge to follow the crowd, to forge your own way. I'm going to ask that you expect great things of yourself and that you be willing to go above and beyond where no one else will. And I'm going to ask that you always choose something that will keep you centered and true to who you are. Your time has come to shine. Your dreams are on their way. Let's sing. Congratulations, seniors. I love that moment. So I don't really have too much else to say to you other than I need to give our orchestra a chance to get back on stage. So actually, I do want to take this moment to, as we're about to say goodnight here, I certainly don't want to ignore the fact that this weekend is a holiday weekend, but it's a very important holiday as we celebrate Memorial Day and we think about everybody who has served their country, been in the line of duty, who has given their life in service for us, and it's certainly something that we don't take for granted. Some of you I know are aware, but I'll say this anyway. We have singers involved in a couple of different ceremonies over the weekend. Our chamber singers will be, for the third straight year, singing with the Philly Pops on Saturday for their annual Memorial Day concert at the Mann Music Center. If you would be interested in attending, it's free. You can go. You just have to request tickets, but that's really cool that we get to sing with the Philly Pops again. And then on Monday morning, certainly something I would definitely encourage you to attend if you're available is the Lansdale Memorial Day ceremony at Memorial Park on Main Street. The parade begins at 9. You can see the Marching Knights and many other organizations from the community as they walk down Main Street, and then the parade ends at Memorial Park in front of Penndale Middle School, where there's a ceremony at 10 to honor our veterans, and you'll hear our men's and women's choirs singing there along with our wind ensemble. In our own way tonight, to sort of mark the occasion, we're going to be singing the very famous arrangement of Wachowski's Battle Hymn of the Republic. The story of this piece is famous. It comes from the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln famously acknowledged the writer of the words for having done as much for the cause as anybody else to reunite the Union. And there's so many great words in this piece, but it's very much about hope and looking forward to what we can make us brighter tomorrow. And as a musician, that's a job that I take seriously and try to pass on to them. Percussion, we good? All right, we hope that you enjoy our finale tonight, the Battle Hymn of the Republic.